The crowd at the underground fight club was bloodthirsty that night, buzzing like hornets as neon lights flickered above the cage. A heavily tattooed man stood inside, rolling his neck side to side, pounding his fists into his palms. He was known as Tank, a former MMA fighter turned street legend who never lost a match. Anyone who dared enter the cage with him left limping or worse. Then came the silence. It wasn't because of fear, not exactly. It was confusion. The man walking slowly toward the cage wasn't what anyone expected. He was old, not elderly enough to be fragile, but clearly in his 60s. He wore a loose, traditional Chinese shirt with cloth shoes, and his white hair was tied back into a small knot. No gloves, no gear, just calm eyes and steady breath. He stepped barefoot onto the mat as if stepping into a garden. Laughter erupted around the cage. Tank grinned and pointed mockingly. "Is this a joke?" Grandpa wandered in from Tai Chi class. He scoffed, flexing for the cameras. But the old man didn't blink. He raised his hands in a peculiar posture, one hand open, the other held beneath it, wrists loose, elbows tucked in. It wasn't boxing, it wasn't karate, it was something different, something ancient. The bell rang. Tank charged forward like a bull, swinging wide, raw punches meant to end the fight in seconds, but none of them landed. The old man shifted gently to the side, just enough. He wasn't fast in the way a young man is fast, but precise, sharp, and efficient. With one small movement, he trapped Tank's arm mid-swing. Tank blinked. That had never happened before. Then came the strike, a rapid, controlled palm to the chest, not hard, not flashy. But it staggered Tank back 2 steps. And the crowd, once jeering, leaned forward, sensing something was wrong or very right. This wasn't just an old man. This was someone who had trained for decades, someone who wasn't here to fight for ego, someone who had nothing to prove and everything to teach. His name was Master Liang, and if you asked him, he wasn't a fighter at all. He was a teacher, a father, a widower. For 40 years, he'd run a modest Wing Chun school tucked between noodle shops and laundromats in Chinatown. His students respected him, but few ever truly understood him. After his wife died of cancer 5 years earlier, he had quietly withdrawn, taught fewer classes, spoke less. The world had changed around him. The flashy world of viral videos, fight nights, and brash influencers left little room for men like Master Liang. But one of his old students, David, couldn't accept that. David had left the school years ago, hungry for fame, and became involved in the street fight scene. He became the organizer of the Underground League, and when he saw how fighters disrespected traditional martial arts, laughed at forms, mocked lineages, something inside him shifted. Guilt crept in. He visited Master Liang one night and asked him to come see the fights. Just watch. "I don't belong there," Master Liang had said softly. But David insisted, and when Tank challenged any old-school master to step up, mocking them in front of cameras and fans, Master Liang stood. Not out of anger, but to remind them all what true martial arts meant. Back in the cage, Tank growled and came in again, this time with a spinning elbow. The old man stepped in, not back, using the tight space between them to neutralize the force, trapping his elbow again, striking once, twice, palm to chest, palm to chin. Tank wobbled. His eyes flickered. Not because he was knocked out, but because for the first time in years, he was afraid. Master Liang's strikes weren't about strength. They were about structure, alignment, energy. His Wing Chun had been forged over decades, through practice, through loss, through life. Tank swung wildly, in desperation. A mistake. Within seconds, he was on the ground, gasping, his arms pinned, his breath shallow. Master Liang never even clenched a fist. The referee paused, stunned. Tank tapped. The crowd fell silent, and then slowly clapped. Not for a knockout, not for blood, but for the quiet, controlled power of a man who never bragged, never boasted, and still won. After the fight, Master Liang helped Tank up. He bowed. Tank, breathing heavily, lowered his head in respect. Something had changed in him. Maybe for the first time he had been humbled, not humiliated, by someone who fought not with anger, but with presence. David stood at the edge of the cage, tears in his eyes. "Why did you do it?" he asked as Master Liang stepped down. Master Liang looked around, then at his student. Because silence doesn't mean weakness, and tradition doesn't mean it's forgotten, some things must be remembered with action. From that day on, everything shifted. David reopened Master Liang's school, renovated it, filmed new classes, introduced the world to Wing Chun. Younger fighters came not to laugh, but to learn. And Tang. He became a student. He mopped the floors, bowed at the door, and started from scratch. The story spread online. Millions watched the old man in the cage, calm, silent, immovable, and asked, "Who is he?" But those who truly understood knew the answer. He was a master of stillness in a world of noise. And in a time where everyone shouted to be seen, he simply moved, taught, and reminded them all. Real strength is quiet. Real power doesn't need to roar. And true warriors don't fight to win. They fight to teach, to protect, to inspire. Subscribe to Kindness Tales for more powerful stories that move the heart and soul.